What's going on, ladies, gents, and kids of all ages? It is Eric coming back at you once again from the Nerd Cave, and today we are talking about an excellent deck, possibly one of the best decks in the meta, a deck that has been topping tournaments, and some little tweaks that I've been recommending for the deck list that I think can make a big difference. This is not fully steered into Tweakville City. I actually have a few different versions of Amber Steel, and I think all of them are fairly competitive and doing some super different things, so maybe we'll talk about some of those down the road. As always, before we talk about the deck list, I have to give a big shout out to the Patreons for making the giveaways on the channel possible. Cannot do any of this stuff without you, so I super appreciate you guys taking the time to support the channel. If you want to check out the Patreon, the link is in the description. And if you're somebody who wants to support the channel but you don't want to just donate and you want to make some purchases that are going to benefit you, you can check out our link for Card Trader to get some awesome deals on very cool cards, and use our promo code to get yourself a discount, and also our link for nerdgear.gg and get yourself some excellent quality sleeves for a great price, even cheaper than Dragon Shields, and definitely more slick but a nice textured backing, so once you've shuffled them a few times they're going to still feel really good and not feel like they're sticking together so much like the Dragon Shield single mats can. That's what these sleeves are going to be competing with, the sleeves you'll be seeing in today's video. Love them. But if you want to check that stuff out and support the channel a different way, I always appreciate it. Those links are also in the description. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and talk about Amber Steel Aggro. So the first card in the 1-cost slot, I don't think this is going to come as a surprise to anybody, is going to be 4 Rhino 1/16 Wolf, a 1-cost inkable 1/2 stat line questing for 1 with a definitely not irrelevant ability. I've seen people more or less ignore this ability or use it in a way that's not conducive to them, and that is when you play this character, chosen opposing character gets -1 strength until the start of your next turn. So that is super relevant because that's not only going to be a benefit to you for challenging in if that's something you're looking to do, but that is going to be a benefit as far as your opponent trying to challenge against you, because that's going to last all the way through their turn. Always keep that in mind. That ability is definitely something you want to be taking advantage of. Next up, we have 2 Mulan Disguised Soldier, a 1-cost inkable 2/1 stat line questing for 1. Great way to threaten the board, a similar concept to Chernobog's Followers, where they could come down and draw you a card, but also they were threatening the board with a 2 strength stat line. Mulan's doing a similar thing, and when you play this character, you may draw a card and choose and discard a card, so it's a great way to fix your hand if you get stuck with too many uninkables or a card that may not benefit you at that time. You end up with a couple docks in your hand. Mulan can be a great way to get rid of those in favor of something different. Another card I know won't come as a surprise to anybody in an aggro deck, and that is going to be 4 Daisy Duck Donald's Date, a 1-cost uninkable 1/4 stat line questing for 2 with whenever this character quests, each opponent reveals the top card of their deck. If it is a character card, they can put it into their hand. However, if it is not a character card, that card is going to the bottom of their deck, so it's a great way to potentially ship your opponent's removal, particularly in those Sapphire matchups where they have a lot of non-character cards. This is really going to be doing a lot of work and potentially not letting them draw while still letting you gain 2 lore, probably twice at least. Another great card, particularly for that early game questing, is going to be 3 Nala Mischievous Cub, a 1-cost inkable 0/4 stat line. No ability, but it does quest for 1, and obviously that 4 willpower stat line is going to be tough in the current meta with things like Mim Fox rotated out. We're not so worried about 4 strength characters super early in the game. There are a couple of them that can potentially come down, but Nala is going to be generally pretty fantastic, and obviously, you know, she's inkable, so in those matchups where she's not as good, you go ahead and throw her in the inkwell. Next up in the 1-cost slot, so we have 4 Aurora Holding Court, a 1-cost inkable 1/2 stat line questing for 1 with whenever this character quests, you may pay 1 less ink for the next princess or queen character you play. Not something we're taking advantage of with a lot of characters in this deck, but something that in the right matchup with the right play line is an incredible ability to have access to in the early game, and makes it worth having the 4 Auroras in the deck. It's a tongue twister, right? 4 Auroras. 4 Auroras. Next up, in the last card in the 1-cost slot, we're finally getting beyond the 1-cost slot, I promise. We have 3 Fire the Cannons, a 1-cost uninkable action that is going to let you just straight up deal 2 damage to something. Always a fantastic card. I thought Fire the Cannons was good when we still had a lot of removal. Now that we have limited removal, Fire the Cannons is a card that you definitely should not overlook, in my opinion. Still in the 2-cost slot, and a card that I still need to get foil. We have 3 the Troubadour, a 2-cost inkable 1/3 stat line, questing for 1 with resist +1 and singer 4. Fantastic combination of abilities. Essentially makes it work like a 4 willpower stat line, but even kind of better in the steel matchups because it's just gonna bounce off 1 damage from everything that's targeting it, which is great. And the singer 4 is gonna make it relevant to sing like the one song we're playing in the deck. Next up, we have 3 Penny Bolt Person, a 2-cost inkable 1/2 stat line, questing for 2. So again, you're seeing those aggressive questers early in the game, and when you play this character, you may remove up to 2 damage from chosen character. Great way to heal those daisies early on if your opponent is putting some ping damage onto them, and they gain resist +1 until the start of your next turn. Keep in mind, it doesn't have the caveat like some characters do, if damage was removed in this way, do X. So even if you're not removing damage from the character you're targeting, they are still going to gain resist, and it is going to be until the start of your next turn like those rhinos. So keep in mind how that ability plays and make sure you're taking advantage of it effectively, but going to be a great way to heal. We have a couple targets in this deck that can be really good when they're healed. Next up, we have 4 Doc Bold Knight, a 2-cost uninkable 1/3 stat line, questing for 1, and when you play this character, you may discard your hand to draw 2 cards. People were asking me when we were going into rotation, why is Doc's price going up so much? Why is Doc's price going up so much? And obviously it's settled down a lot post-rotation, but it's just because there's not another card that's going to be doing this anymore. We're losing access to Whole New World. At least that's what people were speculating on, and that did come to pass. And so losing access to something like Whole New World all of a sudden makes Doc the best game in town for being able to draw you some additional cards in a fairly cheap package. As a 2-cost card that when you're out of cards in your hand is going to draw you 2, he is just a great way to kind of fuel the fire and keep yourself in the game when you're starting to lose steam. So never sleep on Doc Bolt Knight. Moving over to the 3-cost slot, we do have just the 1 Bolt Down But Not Out, a 3-cost inkable 0/4 stat line that quests for 4, which is a crazy sentence. But obviously it has a pretty significant drawback ability in this character enters play exerted. However, if you're going first and you're getting this character down on 3 with a 4 willpower, either your opponent is going to have to be challenging multiple characters into Bolt, or if they're in one of those aggro decks where they really just want to be questing, or a deck that's not coming as aggressively to the board early in the game, Bolt is going to be fantastic, because if your opponent quests into the face of Bolt, Bolt is potentially going to let you pick up tempo, and being able to follow up on him on turn 4 with a bodyguard is going to be a great way to really seal the deal with preventing your opponent from taking him down. Speaking of coming aggressive to the board, we have 3 Lady Family Dog, a 3-cost inkable 2/2 stat line, questing for 2. With when you play this character, you may play a character with cost 2 or less for free. We've seen this be a great ability across multiple color combinations with Daisy. She can be a really good way to be aggressive, particularly if you're going first. She can be a little bit more on the back foot if you're going second, but again, you have that potential bodyguard on 4 to protect these ladies and protect whatever other character you're putting down with her. Hopefully you have something else to put down with her, and Lady is just going to be a great way to get crazy tempo super early on and get over your opponent before they can do anything about it. Next up, still in the 3-cost slot, and if you're wondering why we're playing so many 3-cost characters, this deck has a ton of early game aggro stuff, but you also want to have some good 3-drop characters in the deck because of that one song that we're potentially looking to sing at some point. And the next 3-cost character is going to be 4 Lawrence Jealous Manservant, a 3-cost inkable 0/4 stat line, questing for 2. As you know, when Lawrence has no damage on him, he is going to be getting +4 strength, so as soon as he comes down, he's sitting there as a 4/4 that quests for 2, only costing you 3, and your opponent is all of a sudden going to have to focus on targeting him. So that's where things like those pennies can be fantastic to heal him back up when your opponent expects him to be damaged and have no strength to put down, if you need to be able to take a challenge with him, or you just quest in their face with a little bit of damage on him, throw down a bodyguard to keep him alive, and keep on rolling. And with the goal of interrupting your opponent's game plan, we do have 3 Pete Games Referee, a 3-cost inkable 3/3 stat line, questing for 1. With when you play this character, opponents can't play actions until the start of your next turn. Obviously they can't play actions during your turn, this isn't Magic, so this is going to shut off all those actions for a full rotation. And that can be really disrupting, especially if you're playing against something like Green Blue, where they're looking to go into Under the Sea or Bend to My Will, and you notice when they're getting to those turns where that is going to be a potential option for them, you start throwing down those Petes, and all of a sudden they go, uh-oh, my game plan just got interrupted, I can't do what I need to do. You have the targeted removal to really stifle their Clarabelle shifts. That matchup can be pretty good, and even into that Amethyst Sapphire matchup where you're looking to throw down Tiana and then they're looking to do something like Into the Unknown, when you're getting that Tiana exerted, go ahead and throw down a Pete and prevent that Into the Unknown, and all of a sudden their game plan really changes. They can't take challenges super favorably. At best, they're using their turn spending 3 ink to go ahead and challenge with something and maybe get that Tiana off the board while your other questers stay alive. Speaking of Tiana, we have 4 Tiana Restaurant Owner, a 3-cost uninkable that's become incredibly popular in the new meta. Went from being like a $3 card to like a $30 card. She's a 1/4 stat line questing for 2, and whenever a character of yours is challenged while this character is exerted, the challenging character gets -3 strength this turn unless their player pays 3 ink. So the person who's challenging has to pay 3 ink, or they're going to be getting -3 strength. Obviously, if they have a giant body character like Maui Shark, they're not super worried about getting the -3 and can bowl over something like Tiana with that, but that's going to be pretty far into the game. And when you're looking at potential play lines where you could get Tiana down as early as turn 2, especially going first, it can be super impressive to your opponent. And that action I keep alluding to, we do have 4 Strength of a Raging Fire, a 3-cost inkable action song. Deal damage to chosen character equal to the number of characters you have in play. So obviously you're going to be fueling a ton of characters to the board as early as possible, and Strength of a Raging Fire is going to get a ton of value. We're playing a lot of 3-cost characters as well as those troubadours, which have Singer 4, so obviously they'll be able to sing the Strength of a Raging Fire and take out your opponent's characters super favorably without wasting your ink and allowing you more time to fuel the board with more characters your opponent's going to have a hard time dealing with. And moving over to the 4-cost slot and the Secret Spice, we do have 3 Goofy Groundbreaking Chef, a 4-cost inkable 3/4 stat line questing for 2, with at the end of your turn you may remove up to 1 damage from each of your other characters. Ready each character you remove damage from this way. So not only is this going to be healing those other characters like those Lawrences that it's on curve with, but it's going to be fantastic with another card that we're going to talk about this deck, and really anything that has damage on it and you don't want to be exerted at the end of your turn. It's just going to make it harder for your opponent to play around. Obviously readying your characters isn't going to be fantastic with something like Tiana, but you're really looking to get this card down when you don't have that Tiana and you're going for a more aggro play line. Otherwise, this may be a card that you're looking to ink, but Goofy can be fantastic to keep your cards ready and keep them out of the range of something like Into the Unknown or just your opponent getting favorable challenges. Elsa's going to be potentially problematic with getting those Goofies off the board, but again, you just kind of play around it and try to time your Goofies accordingly. Next up, we have 4 Rhino Power Hamster, a 4-cost inkable 4/3 stat line questing for 2, shifting for 2, so coming down extremely early with a crazy ability. While this character has no damage, he gains resist +2, so if he's getting anything to challenge into, he's very likely going to be able to take that thing off of the board super early in the game. This is effectively what replaced Mim Fox as one of the earliest, most aggressive characters, and the fact that it has resist in addition to being that 4/3 stat line and it quests for 2 is crazy. I'm not sure what they were thinking when they made this card. Definitely should have been a legendary. Should have got an enchanted hamster, right? Next up, in the last card in the deck, we are on 4 Pluto Guard Dog, also a card that can be really funny with Goofy because it is going to ready him, so he's not going to be in that bodyguard position. However, it is also going to heal him, so you could potentially be making him a 5/5 over and over again between those pennies and those Goofies, blasting stuff off the board. A 5/5 for 4 is crazy. There's a 4-cost inkable 1/5 stat line questing for 1 bodyguard, and while this character has no damage, he gets +4 strength, so when he has no damage, he's going to be that 5/5. He's going to be blasting characters away, and then Goofy's going to be healing him, Penny's going to be potentially healing him, and just keeping him as a very aggro character when you're playing that kind of strat. So the deck is incredibly flexible with what it's able to do. Those Goofies give it a lot of flexibility in how it decides to challenge and how it decides to kind of put up a fight. But what are you guys' thoughts on this deck in the comments below? Are there cards you think I should be playing that I'm not playing, or cards that I am playing that you think are crazy? Do you think the Goofy is unnecessary, or just a card that maybe you personally don't love? Obviously it's not in a lot of those tournament deck lists, but I think Goofy has a place in the meta, especially in this deck list specifically, and I've been having a lot of fun with the deck. But when you see those toys, video games, and Amber Steel aggro deck lists with those sandy Goofies off in the distance, remember, it is not a mirage. You guys have a great day.